Mike Cardano with Roto Experts in the Fantasy Sports Network here with you, and I'm here to put the odds of winning in daily fantasy gaming in your favor. So sit up straight and pay attention, or risk losing your money to others who are. All right, so who didn't pay up for Clayton Kershaw last night? Me. Hey, sometimes you get what you pay for. The day before, I didn't pay up for Yu Darvish or Max Scherzer, and it worked out swell. Last night, not so much. You know, you have to have a very short memory if you're going to play daily fantasy day in and day out. You can't get too high when you win. You can't get too low when you lose. Have a plan and stick with it, and if your method is valid, it should work out in the end. Now, I've heard from so many of you today wanting to know if Andrew Heaney is a good play against the anemic Mets offense. The short answer is this. While my gut says yes, I can't in good conscience play a guy that I've never seen pitch before who's never thrown a major league pitch. That's where I stand there. Now, speaking of the Mets, David Wright finally went yard on Monday after an extended drought. So it's nice to know he can still do that. Now, Wright is a classic extreme splits guy. He's serviceable against righties, but just awesome against lefties. Over the last year, there's nearly a 300-point difference in his lefty-righty OPS numbers, with his lefty splits coming in over 1,000. Now, Wright is struggling this season, but not against lefties, where he owns a 173 weighted runs created plus and a 975 OPS. I'll go ahead and play him against the highly touted rookie Andrew Heaney in his debut. Melky Cabrera has been solid this season, racking up hits, runs, extra base hits, and even home runs and RBI. I'm looking to get him in at least one of either Jose Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion into my lineup today, as all my work leads to the strong possibility of a Toronto outburst in the Bronx against David Phelps today. Melky is just 6,973 on Draft Street, 4,200 on DraftKings, and 2,900 on FanDuel, and that's just too cheap to not have him in as part of my stack. It's the second day in a row with two slates of games, and if you're one of those who likes to play in both, it's not so easy to find a pitcher, particularly in the early going. Now, you're getting mostly mid-tier pitchers facing above-average offenses, creating a bit of a minefield with no real obvious plays. So we're going to have to dig a bit deeper to pull the correct guys out of the hat. Now, I can't play Anibal Sanchez, who's the highest priced pitcher on the board, and it's not because he's facing the red-hot Royals, who have won 10 in a row, including 3 in a row from the Tigers. If you've been following along at all, I have a personal rule not playing pitchers against the Royals. And it's not because they score so much, they really don't. They simply don't strike out, and that's very important in daily fantasy. The average major league team has struck out 555 times on the season. There are 6 teams well into the 600s, and the Royals have whiffed just 409 times on the year. Now, given strikeouts are so important in daily fantasy, the upside for the opposing pitcher, even if he limits runs against them, just isn't there. Now, my pick isn't for the weak of heart here, because I'm going to throw Homer Bailey. Now, I really wish he would change his first name. It can only help, right? The last time he faced the Pirates on April 14th, Bailey gave up 4 homers. See how that name doesn't work? In just 5 innings, but he struck out 9. Now, I'm hoping Bailey's turned the corner here. He's pitched to a 6.15 ERA in April, a 4.26 ERA in May, and he's tossing to a 3.54 ERA in June, averaging a strikeout per inning. He's won 6 of his last 7 decisions, including 4 in a row, and as the weather heats up, I want to be on him the day he flashes his no-hit stuff. Again, not for the weak of heart, but he gives the biggest upside in the early games that I can see. In the late games, I'm going to go with Collin McHugh. Now, it's about time folks started giving the Astros and their players some respect. They have one of the best records in baseball over the last month, and it's far enough along into the season to me where it's clear that McHugh and his teammates aren't doing this all with just smoke and mirrors. Now, Houston faces the Rays tonight in Tampa, and the Rays offense is the worst in the American League by far, scoring just 265 times on the season, rivaling the worst National League offenses in the game. Now, McHugh needs to go deeper into games, there's no doubt, but today's a good place to start. The innings he has thrown, however, have been exemplary, as he's pitching to a 3.03 ERA with a whip of just 1.08, averaging 10 strikeouts per 9. Now, a number of people I've spoken to are going the other way and playing Chris Archer because the Astros strike out a ton. I get it, it's a valid option. But I'm using double reverse psychology and I'm going the other way. Archer is just way too inconsistent for me. All right, it looks like the rain should be tapering off by game time in Pittsburgh for the Reds and the Pirates. Maybe the game gets delayed a bit, but I think they'll get that one in. Now, the Braves and Nationals may have some problems at Nationals Park, as there are some strong thunderstorms in the area. They're calling that one 50-50. The White Sox-Twins game at Target Field looks iffy at best. I don't like the chances there. There's a 70% chance of thunderstorms. There's a 30% chance of isolated thunderstorms at Busch Stadium for the Phillies Cardinals. Good luck in your daily fantasy gaming today. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter with your questions and concerns. My handle's @Mike Cardano, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow on the Fantasy Sports Network.